Afternoon. This is My name is Femi Adekunle Johnson. I'm the national coordinator for Megawatts since its inception in 2013, and it's important that we produce this video. Uh, I hope to make it possible from the first experiment. Probably will take 2 episodes, and I want to make it as brisk as possible to explain the selection process of Mega such that we don't have to go into recriminations and allegations and all kinds of ungodly utterances uh, in the heat of the moment, especially from those who are so close. After being out of 10 pre-nominees, you are now in top four, and then you miss out. And then you wonder why you have scored so well, especially those who are quite active, admittedly quite active in the voting process, in public voting, especially through Facebook and our website. Uh, Quite encouraging. And sometimes those who don't garner as much votes turn out to win. And because sometimes we miss the information, the vital pre pre voting information that says this is the percentage for this is a percentage for that. I want to go into all that, open the books for you, open the document for you to see how it's possible for someone who has garnered excellently well, 30%, 40%, or 50% of a particular vote, who still miss out, and one that has little votes consistently, or some that didn't bother at all, sometimes come tops. Let it be clear. Um, Perhaps with out of all this year, for instance, I don't know most of the people. I've never seen them. I don't know. You know Perhaps out of maybe like over 200 entries, I know two or three. And so I don't know most of them. I've never seen them before. And, uh, and none of the ones I knew uh, came close. I don't know even they got nomination, not talk of winning, because it's the structure that we follow. We follow a structure that has been reviewed over time in the past 6, 7 years. Uh, Someone may wonder, who are these people who claim to sit in judgment, so to speak, over their works and all that? We we are all children of God. We have some experience. Some of us have been involved in the entertainment industry for quite some time. Uh, Perhaps because we got involved in gospel just with Mega, because we have done some things in the what we call the secular world and all that. So I, I have been working with the same sort of people. Uh, some of them much older than me, um, and they, without let, they have been extraordinary in their performance. I've worked with the roles. I've worked with Pastor Yomi Oladeji. I've worked with Uncle Laule Kings, Reverend Basi Ekpenyong, Mr. Fumi Onobulu, Pastor Uche Chikundu. I've worked with even Brother Martins in the past. I've worked with Tao El Shaddai. I've worked with uh, Amos Michael Jug. Uh, I work with a number of people uh, in different areas, uh, especially within this spectrum of Mega. Prior to that, I've done quite some things. If you Google with my name, you may get an idea of where I'm coming from. I've done few awards in the past. Most of them have been quite successful. Uh, and every time we moved on, something has happened to them. But we have poured ourselves into Mega to make it very successful, to bring all the experience that we have garnered into making a sustainable, independent, thriving, fair, judicious, uh, full of integrity and transparency and fairness and all that. This is why we are doing this. This is where we're able to confidently come out every time. And we do all these things, energy sapping thing, prayerfully, believing that God sees our hearts and will determine our end. And I don't think there's nothing more important than how we end. I want to end well. I want to have that call, come hither, a good servant. So we do all we have to do with that kind of mindset. So, which is why I'm going to go into all this, open the book for and show you why this is so. Please follow me. I hope this document or this video will document this moment and then can be used subsequently by anyone uh, who wants to be involved or wants to know more about Mega. Okay, started in 2013, as I said earlier, and we had, apart from the break because of financial issues in 2018 and 19, we've had it consistently. Sometimes very tough, other times have been very good. There's no time that we have not had challenges, financial and all that, but we soldier on. Just like the message read by Ms. Gloria Rhodes during the awards, virtual, virtual award about our beginnings and the strivings and all that. We keep on soldiering on, believing that God is able to keep it afloat, keep it alive. It's been traumatic, but that's not the essence of this discussion. It's about the award. So I want to take you through the process. First of all, we ask for this year, for example, we asked call for entries around August. I think it's August 10, because we're not sure we're going to hold this event this year because of the COVID. So we started late, and usually we start our work around February, March, and we'll be calling for entries immediately after April ends, because the eligibility period is between April 30 and May 1st. Okay, and so we call for entries. Notices came out uh, August 10. We had issue to suspend the all the activity after the October 20 unfortunate incident at the Lekki toll gate, in solidarity with young Nigerian protesters who were legitimately fighting for a good cause, a just cause. So we suspended operation for like, I think, 2 weeks thereabout, and then resumed, and the voting ended, I think, November 15, the old date for event itself. So we moved the event to 29th. Okay. So from that day, this is what happened. Uh, the first thing the judges will do this year, because of the lateness, we have two-tier level of judgment, judging procedure. The screening committee will go through all the songs, whether they are sent in as singles or albums. They will go through all the songs, review all the songs, and screen all the songs independently. Independently. Afterwards, we will isolate um, them by genre. I beg your pardon, by themes. We started like genre using the melodies to isolate them, but we reverted to um, themes 2016 and thereabout. So we pick from praise, worship, inspiration, contemporary. We isolate them based on the scores. So what we did this year is, let's take, for example, the most contentious category is the singles. And usually it's most active, the most voted for, the most, because they are mostly young people. So this is what we saw. Let me take you through how the judges operated with screens showing you exactly what happened. This is singles. When they all come, when we have received all the songs, they will go through all. This is from Benson Lee to the last. This is about, you see, it goes on and on. Each person is scored. Each person is scored until we get to the end, which means we have 101 songs. A couple of songs could not open or we could not access them. So, and those are the themes: urban, tradition, praise, worship. Those are four categories under singles. So we will mostly isolate where you see the red marks. are those who score above our benchmark. After getting all these figures in independently, we would now isolate those who have 57. This year we use the benchmark 57% upward. 57% upward. It's important to note some vital information. I will show you the document to back them up as we go on. So we isolate these figures and we'll take those who are 57 and above, except in extreme cases where the categories are not complete. We might come back here and pick some that are below 57. But usually this is what we do. We pick these ones and we isolate the 57% and above. This here now will now identify their theme. Is it worship? Is it urban worship? Is it this and that and that? So after we have done this, we'll move to um, a short list. Create a short list. Let's say short list top songs from singles category. Let's say singles categories. We take these songs and we'll create from the high scoring ones, the highest scoring ones. We bring them here into different categories. So all your band, we usually have 8 to 10, 8 to 10 for pre-nominations. That's enough for people to vote. You have quite a number of them to vote because usually singles, maybe they send in 1, 2, 3, or whatever number they send. They're like the future, like So we're quite interested in having as many of them as possible to contest, especially when the scores close. If you look at this category, for instance, most best single urban, you will see between the highest score here is 63 by 10. It's actually TP, 10P rather. We learned later that we've been calling him TP towards the end is 10. It didn't get back through the right channels for us to identify until we had a WhatsApp group that we created for pre-nominees, and he was able to raise his complaints. So he scored 63 here, while the next is 61, and then 60.5, then 60. So on and on and on. Then when we got to, by the time we ended at 57, we didn't have enough. I think we had about 8. So we went back and picked Double Williams, which is 55, Remy Baz, 56.25, and I think that's the those are the two we added, to make 10, because there were 8. I wanted it to be at least 10. So that's how Double and Williams and Remy Baz came in. So let's see, best singles praise and worship usually are quite numerous. So we usually have more than enough. So we isolated 14 here. None of them is less than 57. Our benchmark, none of them is less than 57. We therefore have to reduce them now. We just pick them when we see 57. So when we get here, we now say we have to reduce to 10. So we look for the 4 least in that 10. If you look at this, you will see 57 sticks out easily. 1, another 57 here, 2. Then you begin to look for 57.25. Then 57.5. So it's easy to pick the 4. So pick the 4. So what you see eventually, then we're able to vote for are basically those who crossed this final 10. So that's how we arrived at this figure of 10 under music singles praise. Then let's move on to worship. Under the worship category, you have Albany 16, I believe it's 16. Yes, you have 16. We have to reduce them to 10. Also, worship is quite competitive because of the nature of the song. So you see, we have many and quite high, 64, 65, 61, a number of 58s. So we have to remove those or less than. This is where KBK dropped in this. I don't know if it dropped. If it dropped, let me count the number. Let me see those who are less than 57. Um, 57. That's blah, blah, blah. This is worship. I think it dropped. This is 57.7 by 59 from this. I think I saw him in Oban or thereabouts or whatever, but not here. So KBK dropped here. Who else has that low? Kemi Sola Oketola dropped here. Even Michael Kalawole dropped. That means 58.5 did not enter. Therefore, it's likely 57. This will not enter. This Faith Ajiboye, I don't think he entered here. 58.5. So I'll check another list to see the final 10. I can't remember them offhand. So this is how we remove. We would have to remove 6 to get the final number, and then next is a traditional. Traditional, we had, I think it's also longer than 10. We had 11, so it's just a matter of removing 1. I think that's the lowest here is 56 points. There are 256, but one is 0.6, one is 0.7. I think, let me see, is anyone lower than that? It probably, okay, let me go further down. I don't think there's anyone below. Yeah. One person must have dropped down, it's likely Kayode Olusoji with Momori. Except I think we used the 11. I think we used the 11. Let me check the full list. Let me check the full list. If we have, I can quickly identify the full list. It's in showing you the full list, I'll be able to also show you the instruction given at the beginning of voting that tells you that only 50% can vote. Okay. Okay, that's a way to sign it. That's where what we call called. We call some figures, and we're able to. Yeah, good. We're doing traditional song, traditional best traditional B singles traditional, best single traditional should be it. Let's see. Yes, so we have so we use 10 Memorial, Philip Praise. Yeah, I have to check with that to know who was dropped. Okay. Now 58.25, 56.7. I think what happened was what's happened? What happened? I have to check. Maybe one of these songs went to worship instead of praise. I don't know why. One of them must have dropped. Okay, I'll find out. I think one of them must have dropped to 8. Okay. Okay, so that's for singles. That's how we isolated them. Let me find out again. So after that, this goes to public voting. I'm trying to get the intro to be able to explain what we mean when we say people. Okay, so what we usually tell them is in the judges have this category to work on. This amounts to 80%. It's 100, but we aggregate to 80%. Usually, we tell the public that our BOJ takes 60%, our screeners take 30%, and then we leave 10% for popularity. In this category, we use originality 15, melody 20, creativity 20, production quality 20, composition and message has the highest mark, which is 25. It amounts to 100, but we do the aggregation and we come to 90. But this year we said because of the lateness, we don't have to wait for the judges are much older. They can't work with the speed that we want. We usually give them like 2 months. Now they're going to have 2 weeks dealing with all these songs and all that. And most times they do it twice because they have to review it after the voting and all that. So we dispense with that, and we ask the screeners to do double work. They have to do both sides. They have to review more than once or twice and all that. And they really try. So we wrote on the board, we did a public voting thing. And you say, read carefully before you post. I trust that you are seeing the screen. And you say, read carefully before you vote. And we wrote here clearly that, however, you know, for the avoidance of doubt, processes for the awards of Mega are heavily on the side of quality and meaningfulness as determined by our screeners. However, we recognize the importance of the listeners or fans expressing their affection for their favorites. The aggregate of public voting votes, strictly one person divides whatever on the idea and one vote per person on Facebook and on website in any category will amount to 20% in the final collation. So it therefore means popularity is 20%, while originality, melody, production quality, composition, music, and all that stuff aggregate to 80%. Right? So that's what's on the screen. If you remember, you will notice. You also can go to the website www.megawatch.org. It's there. You will still see the notice about this instruction. So what we'll do from here is to go to public voting. So we do that's a different beast on its own. When we did the collation, it's what I call votes. You will see at the bottom left of this, it came to 439 pages. 439 pages of all sorts, because you just scrape them from the what's it called? From the Facebook. This is essentially from Facebook. The one from the what's it called? The one from our website is pretty easy. The percentage, you even know it before we ended the what's it called? The voting period. It shows you every day you vote, and so some people will complain, I'm voting there, this thing is not changing and all that. And we ask the webmaster. We even had a session trying to explain what is so you can only use one device or one IP address and all that. But eventually, you could see your percentage, so it's pretty clear. I will show you when we get to the score sheet to see what comes from the website, what comes from Facebook. So we have to go through all this. 439 pages of it was quite Herculean, because what we have done is, after harvesting all this on the mega page of Facebook, it's so tedious going through all the 15 categories with all the voting. So that's what I opened the other time when I was looking for traditional songs. So we now have to go to call each one. You will see these 15 items. There are 15 different categories. AOTY, the first one is Artist of the Year, Best New Artist, Best Singles Praise, Best Single Traditional, Best Single Urban, BWS Best Worship Single. This is Contemporary Song of the Year, Inspirational Song of the Year, Album of the Year, Praise and Worship Medley of the Year, Praise Song of the Year. This is Song of the Year, Traditional Song of the Year, Vocalist of the Year, and Worship Song of the Year. So we have to go and isolate all of them one by one. Let me take example, one of the busiest ones, that's Best New Artist. Now, we have to take Best New Artist, which comes to like 7 pages. We have to isolate and remove all the pages, all the relevancies, all the items on that. That's how we're able to isolate them. We have to bring out each one, make sure that we clean up all the double voting. Let me give you an example of how we columnize them so that they came to different, let me see one of these. Okay, this is what we did. We put them into 3 columns and spread the pages so you can see. It's going to show soon on your screen. I can't see it here now. Okay, it's coming up. So you see, this is for the Best Single Traditional. We have to screen them, spread them, and begin to scan them. It took like 3 days or 2.5 days to get this sorted out, because we do it again and again and again. We have to scan through, look for those who, for instance, someone, this lady, Gold, uh, Gold something, I've forgotten the name now. She has wonderful voters. They come different, they come from everywhere, vote anywhere, it doesn't matter where. Unfortunately, when it got to where she was actually nominated, there were not that many, but you could see them repeating themselves everywhere. I turned to, I will be seeing them, and of course, we have to invalidate them. Um, you see double voting. When you see red, when you see this red light, this means people are voting twice. Either we've seen them somewhere or so we isolate all those who are voting in different categories, who are double voting, triple voting. We try to isolate them, bring them, make them small so you can see them. you know. So we did all that to arrive at our figures. I can show you time, again and again the other categories. Let me take another. Let's say best worship singles. Same process we did. Uh, let me lay it out for you in more columns than one. Same process we did to get as many, to identify anywhere we are going to have problems, see them, or where you're going to, in case people have, people decide to vote. I mean, some people will vote like 5 times. We keep on checking them, chasing them, and removing them and all that to make it clean. So that's what we did with all that. We isolated all one by one, just for fairness. And uh, if we had known that voting on our website would be this easy this year, it will have restricted ourselves to just the website, because it's a lot less stress. Where you have it's easy here is because it has occurred more than once, so we try to isolate all those things, try to identify them, try to uh, be fair to all, so that those who break the rules are removed or are invalidated. That's what we did with all. I can go on and on and on. Let me take someone from the less populated one, something like album or vocalist. Vocalist, like I admitted to the screen, was an error on my part, because we don't usually put technical categories like producer and vocalist on the voting scheme, but we've done this year. So we also did that uh, for we did that for all the categories, where you have some very active people, like the Etokenus of this world, or the who else is very okay, that's Gift Dennis, that's the name, Gift Dennis. How people were just voting without regard to the particular category that is relevant to her. So of course that's a loss for her in that wise. So this is what we did for all that. Now, now we now arrive at collating them and adding them into um, the the final figure, which is the spreadsheet for all the votings, the one that comes in. So I would like to show you, just see the heads. I'm going to go back to singles, because many of the complainants were from the singles. Mentioned names, people, the loudest complainants, and what happened to why they got what they got. A gentleman said, I scored over 600, so. This person was 200 less than I was, and he still was able to win and all that. So I will show you what it means, because each one you voted for has an appropriation, that right on website. In spite of the huge number that we got on website, it accumulates to 10%. On Facebook, in spite of, because Facebook is more difficult to vote for, you can only get it once, so it's difficult to access. It's not as easy to vote, so it's not that voluminous. Though categories like best new artist and some of the album songs categories had quite a lot of people coming, and of course because of uh, the listing of wrong voting, it's not as heavy. So each one is aggregated as 10%. So it's important that you would note that. So let's go and review why. For instance, I've forgotten the guy's name. When we get there, I think it's so Tola Tola Julia or something like that. Okay, and another lady, Rita NK. I remember that one clearly. So let's go through the singles category and review why it is so. Okay, it's showing on the screen. I want you to see clearly, and because subsequently, others in other years you can also go through. And this is how we've been doing it consistently for years. We have records of all this, all the ones we have done. Thank God for technology; they are still there. The ones that we use hand to write, I kept it for many years before it was thrown away. This year's calculation was done manually, paper by paper, stroke by stroke, just to be sure that everything is in tip-top shape. So this, for instance, let's take press singles. Um, Chinyere, I even tried there in Facebook. She couldn't be bothered. In here, the highest score on the press single is 378 by Benson Lee Sunana, Sunana, followed by 298 Jeshurun Jesus, Jeshurun Jesus. And the third highest number is probably 213, which is Engo, Robert Namik Michael, which is great because he was also very active in the Facebook. Now, the aggregate of all these scores is um, 16% is 1.6, 22 comes to 2.2, 28 comes to 2.8, and on. 9 comes to 0.9. Those are the aggregates that we carry over. So this is Facebook. The highest person here is also, I think it's also Engo. Engo score 118, which comes to 3.75. You can see the percentage of 118 is 375 here, while the highest here, 37 something comes to 2.8 because of the cumulative. It's high. So by the time you aggregate it, it comes to this. While this is lower, slightly lower, but it's a different platform. So we add both together and we come to this. So the top 4 or 5, I think the highest is Yidis, that's Engo, followed by 3.5, which is Benson Lee, and then 2.67, that is Jeshurun and Uche Michael. That's what we take to the final sheet. This is the 20%. Okay, so it's the same with the next category, which is worship single. You can see all that. The highest, the 277, 277, that's Moji Olusoji, very active here. Then 122, Uche Michael, 131, Rita NK, which is why she's quite verbal in a testament. Gracia is just 31 here. So this is the aggregate in this category. Rita is 1.5. Moji is 3.3. And Uche is 1.4. I think that's Uche, yes. So when it gets to Facebook, this highest score is it's also Rita. Rita is very strong. She came third in the web and very first in the Facebook. So he has 115. And what's it called? This is Uche. Uche came second with 2.8. So when you see all the others aggregate over 20, the highest is Rita with 5.24, followed by Uche 4.29, and the third is Moji 3.3. Now these are scores that are dependent on what did you score in the 80% part. This is over 20, which we're carrying over. I just want to make sure we go through all before we go to, or let me do this, let me do one after the other. so that we don't lose track. Let me go back to those first two that we have dealt with. Let's go and see what they did in the main category. That's sheet one. Uh, singles, singles, singles. Okay. Now let's look at the two that we did there. Okay, two that we did there. This column, let me just take it up so you see the headings under G. Took this under G is 100%. The aggregate is 80%. Then the 20 that comes from public voting, the grand total, the position. If there's a revised position, there's a final, there's a new list. Okay, this usually happens with the album because they are reviewed. So as we review the top 4, top 5, or top 6 after the public voting. But singles is just straightforward, except there's any contention or there's any agreement among the judges that why is this so and all that. We challenge ourselves if we don't, like for instance, if you look at the trend earlier of the judges, you will see, let me quickly take you back, you will see that some judges are very generous, some are stingy. It's that's how life is. Some are generous, some are stingy. Let me see album singles phase one. Okay, let me quickly take it back. You see, we have 4 judges, the 4 columns. You could see this usually, let's say they don't rate double that strong, that highly. So they will score. The highest for double will be 70, and the lowest will be 33. So these first two uh, judges are usually stingy with their scores, and it's consistently so. The best anyone will get with this fellow is probably 60. Somewhere down the line, you could see maybe in the song and all that. For this person, it's about 50, 51 or thereabout. This person can take up to 75, 80, 85, and this one can go all to 90, 90 something, because they have different personalities. If you just go through down, you'll see different strength in voting. Most of those on the last two are really 60s, high 50s, 70, 80. It's even more impressive and more clear, more clearly seen in the albums category. So you will see that the first two usually don't have, and the last two usually are more generous. So it fluctuates, right? It fluctuates, but the totality is what we care about, the totality that it will bring to. So let's go back to our Excel for the grand total. After seeing the top, this is the 100%. This is the value at okay. The screen is not showing. It should come on now. This is value at 80%. Okay, we are there now. It's value at 80%. Now, this is the PV at 20%. This is the total. So when Jeshurun that scored highly has 2.6 in voting, but the aggregate at 80% is 47. She has 49. So the Uche is manageably 2.3. But look at who has highest here. This 5. For Engo is 5.34. But his total from the judges is 46. When you add it together, you have 51. It's only mustered the 3rd position. Slightly ahead of, who is this? Viz. Viz has one of the highest score with the judges. If it were left to the judges, the winner would be Viz, which is the song is Love. But his score is pretty low from the voting. If he had scored anything as good as Engels or Brother Martins or Jeshurun, he probably would have won, because the highest score, the winning score is 52.16, which is less than 1.5 from. So with another 1.5 to his 2.5 or 2.6 score would have made him given an unassailable lead. Look at but imagine had a surge in the Facebook, but not in the web. Came up with 3.4, which is quite high, but his total is 47.2 in aggregate. It's fairly okay, but you couldn't do much if you don't have a strong. Look at the difference between, for instance, this 40, 46 and 50. That's about 4.6. 4.6. So you need to score like 5% to make any, to scratch anywhere. That's who? That's Lisa C. So that's how it is. Let's see the second category. Let's see the second category. Uh, the worship symbols. The highest hitters. They are like Uche, Muji Olusoji, and Rita NK. Now, this is how it is. Rita's score is 47 from the judges. She rates her song well. What I mean, who else will know? Who else will do that if not you? But to the judges, it's one of the 44 is the lowest, which is the Lisa C. Is one of the lowest because you have 52, which is Gracia. Gracia scored very highly with the judges. 50, who's next? 51, which is Emmanuel Koji, who has no interest in voting apparently, because he has zero point 0.2. All the coaching needs is just like 1 point something or 2 point something, and probably will have won the category. And next strong one is two people having 49.2, which is Faith Ajiboye and Isaac David. And Isaac tried with voting, but he didn't even make the cut. He didn't make the cut because the gap is slightly, you need to score, you need to have Gracia be uninterested, scoring 0 point something for anybody to win in that category. And certainly wouldn't be Rita NK, whose score is 50, 47. Is only able to get nomination because of the high scoring. Same thing can be said of this Richard Michael. He's of course also 47. He's only able to get nomination because of high voting. So that's how it is. Let's go back and check the last two categories. We're checking the PV. Okay, the PV Excel. Okay, so here we are at, I also round this up. Maybe the second video we'll discuss about the album, the singles and the sorry, what's the last two? I've done this first one. So urban and traditional are the last two. Okay, so urban, Benson Lee, it's quite active. Um, Tempe is also strong here. Who else is here? That's this is in the what's it called? The website voting is quite active. Engo Luli is also very quite active. A lovely song that I listen to personally. That I think Jeffrey is also stronger, 191, and those are the top four hitters. And they scored highly, 2.7, 1.3, 1.3, 1.2, 2.4, and then 0.8. Okay, in at the Facebook level, it's a tie between Engo and who's this person, and Tempe. I had to count it about two different times to be sure that we are not getting it wrong. I don't know. I want to be sure that you're seeing it. Let me let me get the screen back on. I'm not sure you're seeing it. Okay. Uh, Let me be sure that you're seeing it. Okay, I think it's showing now. Thank you. Okay. So I have to count the 147 and the 147 of Tempe and Engo again and again to be sure. It was quite a tie, and they both were very strong and the final note because they were active both on the website and on the Facebook. Uh, it's a great one. It's a pleasure going through this in this category because of the activity, the enthusiasm of all of them. So they scored highly. At the end of the day, Um, Ngo Luli has 5.14 to come second on the public voting to Tempe, who scored 6.24. Right, those are virtually emasculated in that category. The third to them is Benson Lee, jump and pass. Along fourth is possibly Jeffrey Mama. So those are the top four that will carry over to the final score sheets. Let's see. Let's see. So Dabo also admitted that my Dabo quite poor, hardly anything in Facebook. Who is there? This is Gosporola couldn't be bothered. Um, who's this? KBK Junior couldn't be bothered. He has nothing on Facebook. He made some struggles and some twerking in twirling in the website, but no, we didn't see her his brake light at all in on the Facebook. So the aggregates are clear. So let's go to the traditional singles traditional. Yeah, here's where you have this chap, Tola Julius, 674, very impressive. And the next best to him, admittedly, is Laura, also impressive, but behind her. So this is equated at 30%, 3, 43%, 4.3. This is at 9%, 0.9. Who else is there? I think those are the three. Now this is 202 from Tokpe Lori, also occurring, which is 13%, 1.3. Now, where the rubber meets the road is on the Facebook. In the Facebook, it's changed. Laura will had a massive 182 in Facebook. Tola Julius, the measly 26. That's not percentage, that's the number of votes. The second on that list is probably Uche Michael. Tokpe went to a wall, no interest whatsoever. Same with Carol is consistently uninterested or disinterested. So you have these three people or two people gathering heavily. That's how do you beat someone that has 9? Even if he has, because it's difficult when you scream amongst the judges. What we isolate as stop this, stop that. You will know that the margins will be close. You have people scoring 57, another person, even the best may score 60, 61, which is just 4, 5. Which is why one of the reasons why we say percentages for public vote will be 10%. So it doesn't change. Beautiful songs come last because of public appeal. Because those who vote, they don't vote because you have quality. They vote because they like you, or they are your friends, or your family, or your favorite. When you like someone, it doesn't matter the quality of the person, just like. So it's subjective, it's emotional. So that's why we're always making it 10%, and we'll revert to that next year by the grace of God. So for 20 this year, it clearly showed that if you let it go, if you do not take cognizance of the power of the popularity margins, you should not complain at the end of the day. But the interesting thing is that these ones were quite interested and they didn't make it. So that's what you're asking. Why can I beat someone 20 by 200 votes? It's over 200 votes in the web, and I will not make it. My brother, the first reason is in the Facebook vote you have 0.8. You didn't do anything, and your colleague has 6.1. If others have taken something, probably her 6% will have reduced to like 4, 5. Now she's getting 9.1. I've never imagined that when we're doing our 10%, that anybody will get 9 or 8 or anything like that. So we're always confident that people who score highly, they get 6, 5, this and that. It would not really change. It would be difficult for someone who is 6 or 8 to come first. But it's possible now, especially if the others don't care. All right. So let's go. The last two categories. Let's go to the final screen sheet to know why this is so. So we're talking about urban and traditional. So let's deal first with the urban. So the top hitters, that we identified the other time is Engo Luli, Tempe, not TP, Tempe at 6%, and Benson Lee at 3.9%, let's say 4%. So now look at the scoring from the judge's perspective. It will be look at it. The aggregates for, let's say this is their 100%. You know that the 100%, the highest score is by Engoluli. It's this person. It's Tempe 63 rather. Tempe 63, followed by Engoluli. Engos Luli, and then Tim Collins, Lord of All, and then Jeffrey's Mama. Then come people like V's Do It Again, DJ Gosperella, and KBK coming fifth, sixth or thereabout. Now in voting, the difference is clear. When you add Engels 48, this is the aggregate for 8%. When you add 48.8 to that 5, it's a huge 53.9. Fantastic. But unfortunately, Tempe also has a high score. In fact, he has the highest score. And then he has the highest score in voting. So two things worked so well for him. He scored well with the judges. He scored well with the voting. So he got 56.4, one of the highest totals so far. It's unassailable. No one can beat that. He did well quality-wise in terms of technical quality and all that in the eyes of the judges. And he also did well amongst his folks. They also liked him, or he made them like him, or whatever. And he scored highest. So the second was Engo, followed by Benson John Pass, who scored very highly. You know, were it to be based on judges, Benson probably would not be in the list, but the vote helped to give him a third position. And finally, it's Jeffrey's Mama that came fourth. You know, so that's how it works. Let's go to final category before I wrap up this session. It's getting close to an hour. I don't want to touch an hour. Okay, so let's do the best traditional category. Now, Tokwe Lori, wonderful. Tokwe Lori, okay, Tokwe Lori is not exactly the first, but quite high. This is the 100%. Highest is 68.5. That is Ronnie D, 68.75, followed by Tokwe Ilori's Ekori, 65.5. And then this fellow, Damilola Oladipupo Iyebiye Lejere, 65.25. And then our guy, Tola Julius, also quite good. All the fingers. I listened to the song, quite a good song. 60. So he's also high flying, and he also did well in voting. Now, what happened? Laura is 58.75. So on aggregate, if it just left for the judges, the race would be between Damilola Oladipupo, Tokwe Ilori, Tola Julius, and still Laura. Those be top four. Now she's quite aggressive in her score. So the difference between, for instance, Ronnie D and Tokwe Laura is probably 55. That's like 7. No, that's about 8. The difference is about 8. So it's difficult to get, but she has 9. And all Ronnie needs is just like 2 or 3. 2 or 3 it will be difficult to beat. 2 or 3, but Ronnie had no interest whatsoever in voting. This is 0. Not just 0. something, 0.04. That's absolutely no interest in the voting. So of course it shows. Our total is still 55, right? All that would have made a difference. If she has any of these other scores that others are having, she'll be great. So let's see what happens with Tola Julius. Tola Julius 48 plus 5 is 53. Is 53. you know, and 53.65, that makes it 4. This actually is the third one. This is 3. This is 53.73. That's Tokwe Lorry. Second is 55.01. That's who? Ronnie D, in spite of no voting, she still has the nomination. That means, ordinarily, in sight of the judges, if we had time, they will have rescreened this all over again and all. But we don't do that for singles. We do that essentially for this, because when you have quality, you really don't want them to lose if they are doing that well. But voting is what it is. It's what it is. So Laura scored 56.1 to carry the day. There is no hard and fast rule about it. The figures are clear. No, I hope with what we have gone through, that you could see effort we make to be fair, to be to be to be careful, because we know your work is your life. Your blood is poured into it, and we don't joke with blood. It's by His blood we are healed. And when your blood is involved, we have to be careful. We listen to these words, listen to your songs prayerfully. We pray. We are careful. We are conscious. We hold you in your work in high esteem. It's the labors released into atmosphere to magnify God, to glorify His name, and to bring people to Him. We can't be a part of delimiting that or demarketing that or making it less as God has willed it. It will be unforgivable. So we don't. So I can assure you, with what we have gone through, we spent. I know it's a thankless job. Nobody will see what we are saying. I'm bringing all this out. May see some may snigger, some may wonder, some may appreciate, and all. It's just for it to put it in the public domain. So I don't go on every year explaining. I will send you to this video. I'll put it in public domain, put it on Facebook, on our YouTube page, and I can refer to it year after year by the grace of God. Thank you so much. I will do this. I call it the Co-ordinator Explains. This is the Coordinator Explains Part 1, and I will, by the grace of God, do the Part 2, which will go through that. I'm sure that will be less. It will not be as long as this, because I'll go straight into dealing with the albums and songs. Though there are more categories. We're talking about 9 or 10, actually 11 if you add the medley. So, but by the grace of God, we're going to go through more effectively and speedily. Thank you so much. I hope to see you time and time and time again. Good night.